Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Potsmoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Potsmoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Old Testament of the Christian Bible. And today I'm working on the second part of the 28th chapter of the Potsmoker's Bible, which is the first part of the concluding chapters, because the book of Zion has already been published. So I've been talking about the Temple of Zion, which was the foundation from which the entire nation of Zion shall be built. And so I'm going to take up where I left off. Once the members' needs were addressed, then the other members present would join in the conversation. Each member spent as much time as was required to meet their needs. Some members were so stressed and busy that they would seldom stay longer than was required to just do their basic needs. These would give me a hug and leave, having no time, they thought, to deal with their emotional problems. But most members would linger to enjoy good company, intellectual conversations, or the camaraderie of video gaming, TV, music, or whatever else came to mind at the temple. I enjoyed the conversations most of all. The temple was seldom empty. It was averaged to have around 10 people present. Now, up to half of those were either residents or staff, i.e., roommates, or those who I was giving aid to in the form of labor for needed funds. The temple was always busy. Each member had to be recommended by an active member. Each applicant was given an hour or so long explanation of what the temple was about. This was required. Each member knew before they joined that I was seeking to defy the state openly in order to get arrested by the state. Each member agreed to follow the temple practices. Those who were brought to the temple as applicants were brought by members for consideration. But I never sought new members. In no part of my declaration did I ever urge anyone to go out and to spread the word. I just created a sacred space that was so awesome that my friends, i.e., the members, wanted their friends to meet me and to enjoy the sacred space called the Temple of Zion. Through conversation and the acts of kindness that we expressed at the temple, we created a sense of self that my people overall have never experienced. I taught them the truth about drug use, ancient practices, and God. And in doing so, I gave us all a sense of self-worth as priests. And I pointed out that we all do good and can choose to do more good. We talked everything and ended up with our own identity. My members tell me that I made a big difference in their lives. I gave them a sense of worth that the war on drugs had taken from them. They found inner worth. My people realized that they were good people who had done no wrong. That knowledge, proven by prophecy, made my members self-assured. That love of self gave them a whole new way of life. They found justification. And it took the cops 7 years to realize that no one was ever going to narc on me. One guy joined the temple, then robbed it, but that was a mistake. He was literally run out of town. My members loved me. They refused to narc, no matter how much they were harassed. In the end, they simply had to raid the temple. There was no other way in. But during those 7 years, the members created for themselves a new identity as a unique people, people who had every reason to enjoy their lives according to their own ideals. We created the idea of what a Zionite is, and we are beautiful, we are good, and we are more than we were before we got high. Those 7 years gave birth to a new, unique thought form, called The Nation of Zion. And this book is the realization of this national identity. I could not have written this book without the input of those 50 or so members who imagined with me how we poor hounded hippies could transform our world into a more utopian place. We didn't seek utopia. We were just exploring the possibilities of the prophecy. Those possibilities became this book. It was the daily conversations about our current lives and the lives that we wished to create when we succeeded that formed the new social order that we envisioned. We took our current problems apart one by one and figured out how to try and fix it. It helps us each cope with a daily basis. It also let us expand our solutions to deal with larger related social issues. We became a think tank. We would have these conversations that sometimes went on for weeks as we picked things apart to find the true issue and then how to resolve it as best we can realistically. We did try to be realistic. The prophecy gave us hints about how to deal with issues. We spent 7 years using thought experiments to think things through. The governments of this world tells you that drug users are stupid. They lie. This book may contain some very crazy concepts, but in order to articulate this level of insanity, I had to first be intelligent enough to think of these concepts. I may be crazy, but I am articulate. I am not an idiot, incapable of coherent thought. We tackled every subject covered in this book. We designed the guild system. We envisioned the High Council of Elders. We created the office of the priesthood. We created a temple design after the ancient temple model, serving the community, both physically and spiritually. We became a community within our community that provided for its members as well as strangers. We studied all aspects of life, then created a plan to create a new society. That plan became this book. The website for this series contains entry forms for Zionites who wish to become part of Zion. Those who wish to convert to Zionism and those who wish to convert to Zionism. These forms are for various services and memberships to guilds and to the priesthood. Each form was conceived in the think tank: the citizenship form, the guild entry form, the census form, the applications for establishing way temples or local Zionite temples. All of these ideas came from the Temple of Zion. Every drug user has the potential to become a priest. However, not every drug user is meant to be a priest. Some Zionites are meant to provide for the nation in unrelated ways, so no one should feel bad if the priesthood doesn't appeal to them. Drug use only happens if the soul is ready to evolve, having outgrown this society. The spiritual truth of the drug user was revealed to us after time had passed. Our conversations led us to the realization that drug use came from pain. We each had some experience that hurt us on a deep level. We sought out the drugs to kill the pain. That pain was our point of exit from society. The drugs did more for us than anything society had offered. The drugs brought us together and let us share our pain, and by doing so, healed to an extent that the drugs made life bearable. But as we bonded over our shared pain, we found a familial tie that led us to continue the healing process, so that our drug use became a ritual of friendship instead of a way to fill a need. Our shared emotions healed us. We then became a family in fact, our shared lives of the party becoming more real than the blood bond of those who we can no longer relate to. We are always real with each other. False pretense is so undesired that we seek it to always speak from the heart. Where family resides, we are real with each other, bound like family in more shared experience than blood. But the drugs do more than just lead us to inner truth. They open up latent abilities like telepathy and healing. It is a tool used to enhance these abilities. Drugs define us. Drugs heal our souls and replaces our negative vibrations with more positive ones. Drugs aren't just for a good time. During the temple years, we talked about psychic abilities, but at that time it was just talk. Until the night four of us created a vortex that blew the nearest transformer. That was my first experience with spiritual energy of a large scale. We had no idea what would happen, and I don't remember how we came up with the idea, but what I experienced in prison began with those discussions about ESP at the temple. What happened in prison is amazing. I had gone into the drug abuse unit and was getting kicked out because they couldn't do anything with me. In other words, I was a problem. I made a lie of almost everything they said and did, so I was unbrainwashable. What happened when I left that unit was an empowerment. By getting myself kicked out of the SAU, I had passed the final test leading to my advancement or evolution. I just opened the door to my new housing unit and I walked into an energy vortex. I felt it like a barrier being broken. I felt this energy enter my body and it filled a void that was in my heart. I had walked into a fragment of my soul. That part of me had always been there waiting for me, but I would only be sent to that unit if I passed the SAU final test, which I had. The energy became a genetic switch. It turned on my energy field. It was at this point that I began to emit energy from the centers of my palms. I also experienced an intensely higher sense of the life force of others. My telepathy kicked into a higher gear, and I advanced in every way. The genetic activation of my psychic generator was a powerful moment. For my entire life, I had felt a place in my heart where that energy went. It had been an empty hole in my soul. I could feel it going all the way into me. It used to ache physically, but I no longer have that hollowed out place in the center of my being. Now it generates energy which I can use in the real world. It is my shade, the core of me. The moment it entered my body, I was whole. I am not the first person to become whole, nor is it required to have this empty spot. But very few people on earth have access to this energy generation. They are whole. The generator is present, but simply turned off. Anyone can turn on their soul, but it is never easy. You must first decide to pursue it, a quest, if you will. Each person must find the on switch in themselves. I have opened the door. I have flipped my switch. You can too, but not in the same way I did necessarily. Once you have decided to become psychic, you must discover for yourself what turns you on. And with there, I'm going to end for this segment, and we will pick up next time where I left off. Until then, may the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, teach you right from wrong, and keep you safe. May you always be worthy of them. Let your words, thoughts, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Be the joy, my friends. Stay happy and high. Know that I love you. Later, because I'll never say goodbye.